Ask someone who's spent their life in Michigan, a UP deer hunter, an up-north cabin owner, someone who works in the woods for a living, and they'll tell you there are places they don't go alone and things they've learned to leave well enough alone. To everyone else, Michigan looks friendly. It's lakes and pine and two-lane roads, a mitten you hold up to show where you're from. You swim off a sandbar. You paddle a quiet inland lake at dusk. But the people who know this state best keep a wary eye on the tree line, the marsh grass, and the water under the boat, because they know what's back there. Michigan is bigger and wilder and stranger than the postcard. It's 2 peninsulas, tens of millions of acres of forest, and wetland and dune, wrapped in the largest freshwater lakes on Earth. And the folks who live closest to all that have quietly worked out which country to give a wide berth and which animals you don't want to be near. Today, we're counting down 15 dangerous animals of Michigan, the ones that give even lifelong locals pause. Some of these you'd cross a field to avoid, but here's what the list builds toward. The most dangerous of them doesn't care whether you keep your distance. There are giants here that were airlifted back from the dead and turned loose in the north. There's a predator the state says isn't breeding here, and someone just photographed its young. And the one at number 1 lands on your skin on a warm summer evening and can kill roughly 1 in 3 of the people it makes seriously sick. You can't refuse to go near that one. It comes to you. Before we start, if you like the kind of thing that makes you look twice at country you thought you knew, take a second to subscribe. It genuinely helps, and I want to know, which part of the state are you watching from? The UP, up north, or downstate? Drop it in the comments. Alright, let's get into it. Number 15. The eastern Massasauga rattlesnake. We start with the animal most people swear can't be here at all. A rattlesnake. In Michigan. The Massasauga is the state's only venomous snake, and Michigan holds the largest population of them left in the country. It's a small, thick, gray and brown snake of the wetlands, the marsh, the wet prairie, the fen, and it's so shy that most people who live near one will never see it. When it's alarmed, its rattle doesn't clatter like a Western movie. It's a faint, dry buzz, easy to mistake for an insect in the grass. Its venom is genuinely potent, but the snake is small, injects very little, and would rather freeze or slip away than bite. Of the bites recorded in Michigan over nearly 2 decades, not one has been fatal. Almost everyone came from someone trying to handle or step over it. It's been in the wet ground at the edge of the trail the whole time, asking only to be left alone. Number 15 sets the rule for this whole list. The animals that thrive here are the ones you never notice. Number 14. The northern black widow. Michigan has a black widow, a fact that surprises almost everyone who lives here. It's the northern black widow, most common in the western Lower Peninsula, and it favors exactly the places people would reach without looking. The hollow log, the old stump, the brush pile, the dark corner of the shed, or the crawl space. Turn her over and you'll see the red hourglass under her belly, though in this species it's usually split into 2 halves. Her venom is a neurotoxin, and a serious bite brings deep muscle pain, cramping, and sweating that can last the better part of a week. Now the honest part, she is genuinely timid. She would rather flee than bite, and serious outcomes are rare and mostly limited to small children and the elderly. But she's lurking in the outbuilding you clean every spring, more common than the state's reputation would ever suggest. Number 14 is the reminder that dangerous has nothing to do with size. Number 13. The common snapping turtle. You would never think of the thing at the bottom of the pond as a predator, but a big Michigan snapper is a genuinely powerful animal. A shell the size of a serving platter, a long neck that strikes faster than you'd believe, and jaws built to shear. In the water, it wants nothing to do with you. It will simply sink into the mud and disappear. The danger comes on land, in early summer, when a female hauls herself across a road or a yard to lay eggs and feels cornered. That's when people reach down to move one and learn that the neck reaches much farther back than it looks. There's no alligator snapping turtle in Michigan, just this one, the common snapper, in nearly every marsh, slow river, and farm pond in the state, older and heavier than anything else down there. Number 13 has been under the surface of your favorite swimming hole all along. Number 12. The eastern coyote. Everyone knows there are coyotes in Michigan. What most people don't know is what the coyote here actually is. As wolves were wiped out of the eastern country, the coyotes that moved in to fill the empty space bred with wolves along the way. So the eastern coyote that trots the field edges today carries wolf ancestry in its blood and runs noticeably bigger than the small coyote of the western deserts. It lives at the edge of us, in every county in the state, working the farm margins, the golf courses, the ravines behind the subdivision, and it has moved comfortably into the cities, Detroit included. People hear them at night and picture something smaller and shyer than what's really out there, slipping between the houses after dark. Number 12 is the wolf's smaller cousin, living closer than you think. Number 11, the sea lamprey. Now to the lakes, and to one of the strangest, most alien animals on this entire list. The sea lamprey isn't from here. It came in from the Atlantic through the shipping canals a century ago and spread through all 5 Great Lakes by the late 1930s. It's a jawless, eel-shaped fish, and its mouth is the stuff of nightmares. A round sucking disc ringed with circles of hooked teeth and a rasping tongue. It latches onto the side of a living fish, files a hole through the skin, and drinks its blood and body fluids, staying attached for hours, days, sometimes weeks. A single lamprey kills up to 40 pounds of fish in its life, and it very nearly destroyed the Great Lakes fishery before crews fought back with a control program that still runs today. Its kind has been on this planet for well over 300 million years, older than the dinosaurs, unchanged through mass extinction after mass extinction. Number 11 is the vampire of the Great Lakes, and almost no one who swims over it knows it's there. Number 10. The black-legged tick. Picture the most dangerous thing in the Michigan woods, and you think of the bear, the pack of wolves. You should be watching the tip of a blade of grass. The black-legged tick, the deer tick, was rare in this state a generation ago. It isn't anymore. As the winters have softened, it has marched up the Lake Michigan coast and spread across the Lower Peninsula and the UP, and it brought Lyme disease with it. Michigan's Lyme cases have climbed sharply, by some counts 6-fold in just 3 years, and the tick most likely to give it to you is a nymph the size of a poppy seed, so small you never feel it climb aboard on a walk in the park. Left untreated, Lyme can move into the joints, the heart, the nervous system. It is the fastest changing danger on this list, arriving quietly in backyards and trails that were considered safe a decade ago. Number 10 is the danger you're most likely to actually meet, and least likely to see. Number 9. The feral hog. Somewhere in the Michigan backcountry, there may be a wild pig that isn't supposed to exist here at all. These are Russian and Eurasian wild boar, tusked, bristled, bad-tempered animals that escaped from hunting ranches and started breeding in the wild. Michigan watched what feral hogs have done to states farther south, where they tear apart whole landscapes and multiply faster than anyone can shoot them, and moved hard to stamp them out, declaring wild boar an invasive species that could be killed on sight before they could take hold. A big boar is heavily built, armed with self-sharpening tusks, active at night, and willing to fight when cornered. They root up fields and wetlands, eat almost anything including fawns and eggs, and can carry diseases that pass to livestock and people. Number 9 is the animal Michigan is trying to erase before you ever learn it's here. Number 8. The bobcat. We're at the halfway point, and if you're still with me, you clearly want to know what actually shares this state with you. So if you haven't yet, this is the moment to subscribe, because from here up, these are the animals people refuse to believe are real. Number 8 is the bobcat. It's the wild cat almost no Michigander ever sees, and it's nearly everywhere, through the UP, across the Lower Peninsula, and increasingly farther south. About twice the size of a house cat, it hunts the seams where forest meets field, moving at dawn and dusk, gone before your eyes can catch the shape. With the wolf and the cougar absent from most of the state, the bobcat has quietly become one of the top predators left across huge stretches of Michigan, and it manages that while staying almost completely invisible. When someone does see one, they'll swear an exotic cat escaped from somewhere, because a wild predator hunting the woods behind the house doesn't fit the picture. Number 8 is the ghost at the top of the food chain. Number 7. The lake sturgeon. Under the surface of the Great Lakes and the big rivers that feed them swims a living dinosaur. and most people have no idea it's down there. The lake sturgeon is Michigan's largest and longest-lived fish, a broad armored bottom-dwelling giant with rows of bony plates down its back instead of scales, and whiskered feelers under a snout it drags along the lake bed. It can pass 7 feet, top 200 pounds, and live well over 100 years. Sit with that. Some of the sturgeon in these waters were alive before the Second World War, and some of the young hatchlings in this spring will still be swimming when today's children are old. Its family has barely changed in over 100 million years. It won't hurt you. It eats snails and insects off the bottom. But to come face to face with one underwater is to meet something that has been cruising these lakes since the age of the dinosaurs. Number 7 is the giant that's been hiding in the water you grew up swimming in. Number 6, the moose. Most people don't know Michigan has moose at all, and the way they came back is one of the great wildlife stories in the country. Moose had all but vanished from the state by the late 1800s. Then, in the winters of 1985 and 1987, biologists did something almost unbelievable. They flew to Algonquin Park in Ontario, tranquilized wild moose out on frozen lakes, and lifted them one at a time beneath helicopters, blindfolded, slung under the aircraft, to waiting trucks. Then they drove 59 of them 600 miles to the Upper Peninsula and let them go. They called it the Moose Lift. From those animals, a wild herd took hold in the UP that still roams there today. And make no mistake, a moose is not a gentle giant. A bull stands taller than you at the shoulder and weighs half a ton, and a provoked moose, or a cow with a calf, will stomp and charge. Number 6 is the half-ton animal that was carried back into Michigan under a helicopter, and most people never knew it had left. Number 5, the elk. For decades, one sound was gone from the northern Michigan woods, the bugle of a bull elk in the fall. Michigan's native elk were hunted out by around 1875, and a person could grow up here and never know the animal had ever belonged. Then, in 1918, 7 elk were released near the town of Wolverine. Just 7. From that tiny seed grew the largest wild elk herd east of the Mississippi, well over 1,000 animals today, ranging the Pigeon River country north of Gaylord. These are not deer. A bull elk can weigh 800 pounds, and in the autumn rut, swollen with hormones and guarding his harem, he'll lower that rack and charge anything he reads as a rival, including people who wander too close for a photograph. Every fall, the hills up north filled with the sound of them bugling in the dark, a sound that has been silent for 2 generations. Number 5 is a giant rebuilt from 7 animals, hiding in plain sight 3 hours north of Detroit. Number 4, the black bear. Michigan has around 12,000 black bears, a number that stuns people who picture bears as a far north Upper Peninsula thing. Most of them are in the UP, where essentially the entire peninsula is bear country. But that's the part of the story that's changing. Over the last 20 years, bears have been pushing south across the northern lower peninsula, into country that hasn't seen them in generations, turning up at bird feeders and trash cans and beehives near towns like Traverse City and Gaylord, with the occasional wanderer reported much farther south. A big male can weigh up to 400 pounds, run 30 miles an hour, and climb better than you can. Attacks are genuinely rare, and most bears want nothing to do with people, until one learns that humans mean food, and a bear without fear is a different animal. Number 4 is the giant you knew was up north, quietly moving closer than you realized. Number 3, the gray wolf. By the 1960s, wolves have been shot, trapped, and poisoned almost entirely out of Michigan, down to a mere handful clinging on in the Upper Peninsula. And then they came back. Today, more than 750 wolves run the UP in over 150 packs, a full recovery that ranks among the great predator comebacks in America. They're an apex predator, 6 feet long, built for endurance, hunting deer and beaver and even moose across the northern forest. Officially, they stop at the Straits of Mackinac. The state says there's no established population in the lower peninsula. But wolves wander. In early 2024, a coyote hunter downstate shot what he thought was a record-breaking coyote. And it turned out to be a gray wolf, hundreds of miles south from where wolves are supposed to be, and no one could explain how it got there. Number 3 is the predator Michigan nearly erased, back in force, and quietly testing the edges of where we think it lives. Number 2, the cougar. Officially, the mountain lion does not live in Michigan. The native population was wiped out more than a century ago, and the state has always insisted that the cats turning up since are lone travelers, young males wandering hundreds of miles east from the Dakotas, passing through, never staying. Since 2008, the DNR has confirmed only a few dozen cougar reports, almost all in the UP, from trail cameras and tracks, and in a couple of cases, poached carcasses. And then, in the spring of 2025, a driver in the western Upper Peninsula stopped to photograph 2 spotted animals beside a quiet road, and a biologist confirmed they were mountain lion kittens, 7 to 9 weeks old. The first cougar cubs verified in Michigan in more than 100 years. A female had to be there to have them. The DNR set up cameras, and the little family melted back into the forest, unseen since. Officially, Michigan still has no breeding cougars, but someone photographed the kittens. Number 2 is the ghost that may be quietly coming home. Number 1, the mosquito. And the most dangerous animal in Michigan is one you've slapped off your arm 1,000 times without a second thought. It's the mosquito, and by the only measure that matters to human beings, nothing else on this list is close. Most mosquito bites here are nothing, but some of them carry eastern equine encephalitis, one of the deadliest mosquito-borne diseases in North America. Most people it infects never get sick, but of those who develop the brain swelling it can cause, roughly 1 in 3 die, and many of the survivors are left with permanent neurological damage. There is no cure and no human vaccine. In 2019, Michigan lived through its worst outbreak on record. 10 people infected, 6 of them killed, cases across 20 counties, and the state was forced to spray insecticide from airplanes over more than 500,000 acres, and to warn families to cancel evening plans and keep kids inside at dusk until the first hard frost. No fangs, no warning. A single bite on a warm August evening in the backyard, and weeks later a healthy person is fighting for their life. Every animal on this list hides. This one lands on you. Number 1 is the smallest thing in Michigan, and the one most likely to end you. So here's what this list is really about. Not fear. Michigan is one of the most beautiful places in the country, worth every mile of shoreline and every quiet lake at dawn. It's about the gap between how gentle it looks and how much it actually holds. Big, wild, water-wrapped places that don't advertise their secrets. The Massasauga is still in the marsh grass beside the trail. The sturgeon is still gliding along the bottom of the lake you learned to swim in, older than anyone who ever taught a kid to swim there. And somewhere in the UP tonight, a wolf is howling, a moose that was carried in under a helicopter is moving through the dark, and a cougar that officially doesn't exist may be curled up with kittens no one was ever supposed to see. Michigan wears its wildness the way it wears everything else, quietly, patiently, folded into all of that forest and water until you'd never know. Which of these were you standing next to and never knew? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to see the country the rest of America thinks it's tamed, stay close, because the next place we're going hides even more.